We believe that such a reformer has come in the person of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who established the Ahmadiyya Muslim community 117 years ago, which from his humble beginnings in a small remote village of India called Qadian has now spread to 190 countries around the world and has millions of followers. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, peace be upon him, the promised Messiah and Mahdi, called for mutual understanding and religious tolerance in the world. He declared in his book, The Message of Peace, irrespective of whether we are Muslims or non-Muslims, and although we have many differences, we believe in one God who has created the world and all that is contained in it. We also claim commonality as human beings, and we live in one country as neighbors. It is our duty that we should become friends with a clear conscience and honest intentions. We should sympathize with each other on all matters, temporal or religious. And human being is not human unless he displays some element of sympathy. Our God has made no distinction in any nation. Following the demise of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, peace be upon him, the institution of Khilafat was established, and I'm pleased that this year we are celebrating the centenary of this blessed institution. All Khulafas have guided us on the path of peace and harmony and kept this injunction as a guiding beacon for the whole community. We are very fortunate this evening that we are blessed with the presence of the fifth successor of the promised Messiah al-Islam, our current spiritual head, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. His Holiness has untiringly in his preaching of peace to the world at every opportunity and on every occasion. He has been able to address audiences around the world delivering this message, and we will have the pleasure of hearing him this evening. Under his guidance, the community is engaged in one of the key principles of Islamic faith, which is service to humanity. Our community has opened schools and hospitals in many third world countries, giving free service irrespective of race, creed, color, or faith. We are also involved in sending aid through our charity Humanity First to various disasters around the world, and are busily involved in providing clean water and energy to remote corners of the world. Even in the United Kingdom, our auxiliary organizations raise hundreds of thousands of pounds for various UK charities, such as the British Heart Foundation, Cancer Research, and Great Ormond Street, to name a few. I hope that tonight's meeting will go some way to meet the objective, and that we'll be able to join hands across religions for this common goal. I'm sure that this gathering of people will prove a spur for action and will cooperate in the future to build a society which is harmonious, peaceful, tolerant, and understanding. Once again, I thank you all for sparing your precious time this evening. May God bless you, and may you enjoy this evening. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is a lifelong resident of the area who spent 25 years in community activism before being elected as Member of Parliament for the constituency of Mitcham and Morden in 1997. Could I please invite Siobhan McDonough to address us?
Good evening, Your Holiness, Mr. President, mayors, mayoresses, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to your peace seminar today, and thank you for inviting me once again to this extraordinarily landmark in Morden. I have been told by my friends and colleagues in politics that it's an honour to give a speech at the Bathol Futu Mosque, as it's considered to be the largest mosque in Western Europe. Looking around, it is indeed an architectural beauty, and it is astonishing to me that you were able to build this mosque together from voluntary contributions from within your own community. You are clearly a strong, cohesive community. And I think this vision of a strong, cohesive community is where I would like to focus my thoughts on today. I want to talk about what makes us, you and I, and the rest of Britain, of all faiths and no faiths, a strong, cohesive community. I want to talk about what we have in common, and more importantly, the values that we share. When I think about some of the important values in Islam, or at least those that I'm familiar with, I'm amazed that there is any tension at all between the Muslim community in Britain and other British communities and faiths. When I discuss these values with people, I'm shocked at the stereotypes and misconceptions that exist about your faith. It is extraordinary that anyone who knows anything about Islam can associate your faith with the actions of violent Islamic extremists. It is a terrible injustice to Islam and to your religion, because it is a peaceful religion. From what I know, Islam is a religion based on tolerance and respect, and it is a religion that encourages all people to practice their own faiths without hindrance and without threats. Islam advocates the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, and the freedom of religion. Your faith is built on the rights of life, equality, tolerance, and justice. And most of all, Islam teaches us all that unless you are at peace with other human beings, you cannot find peace with God. Without a doubt, these are commendable values in your faith, and without a doubt, these are the values that I share and most of our community share with you. And note, it is these and other similar values that make us a strong, cohesive community in Britain. But note too, it is these shared values that stand all of us apart from the violent jihadi extremists. The violent Islamic extremists do not share our, that is yours and mine, commitment to a peaceful and harmonious society. These violent extremists do not want to live side by side with other communities and faiths, and they do not want to compromise. There is a violent war based on extremism, intolerance and hatred. I know that you know this, and I know that it's an abomination that these violent extremists claim to be acting under the teachings of your faith. But I can imagine to some extent how you and your community feel about this. As a Catholic, every time I think about those who died in the Omagh bombing in the name of Catholic Ireland, I feel shame. The Ahmadiyya community in particular, to be pigeonholed with violent terrorism, of people who would choose to blow up innocent people of all faiths and no faiths on trains, must be excruciating. Because even from a local perspective, it is obvious to me that the Ahmadiyyan community is an integrated community and that you value and contribute to the neighbourhood that you live in. Your faith is dedicated to serving the society that you live in, and from what I've seen, heard and experienced from mainstream charities, schools and churches, your faith and community have contributed in significant ways. I have heard from a local head teacher how the presence of children from the Ahmadiyyan community has helped to turn her school around from a poor-performing school to one of increasing excellence. I've heard from Reverend Skinner of St Lawrence's just across the road the contribution that you make to the local faith community, and on a more prosaic level the contribution you make to Morden Park Playing Fields Association. I have personally experienced and heard that you have raised tens of thousands of pounds on sponsored walks for children, older people and people with disabilities. You have dedicated yourselves to charitable social projects, and most significantly of all, you have not distinguished between faiths, ethnicities or communities. At a time when you could be forgiven for consolidating all your efforts in building your community in this part of South London. The Ahmadiyyan community have an extraordinary reputation abroad for charitable work in Africa, India, Bosnia and Indonesia, amongst other places. But note, your community here too have an extraordinary reputation. You have been generous with your time and resources, and you have made yourselves part of the wider community, even sadly when there has been some resistance from the British National Party. Your community and the broader Islamic community generally has stood firm in the face of much criticism and hostility since September 2001. You have continued to demonstrate that you are indeed an integrated